Hey, welcome to Let's Talk About Death. I'm Tammy Sarah.
And I'm Sarah Lunsford.
And this time, we're going to talk about the veteran cemeteries.
We'll talk about the veteran cemeteries.
This is more your area because you've dealt with this.
Yeah, my dad was a veteran of the Korean War, and he wanted to be buried in a veteran cemetery. And we weren't quite sure what that was all about. My mom is English, so, so it's like, well, what do we do?
Right.
And what was really good was that people actually did help us through the process. But veteran cemeteries, to be buried in one, you can't really plan ahead. And that's one of the catch-22s about it, is that you make sure all your paperwork is in order, your, honorable discharge papers. And I know there's a certain number for it, and I don't know what it is right now, so please forgive me. But usually what happens is the mortuary or funeral home checks that out for you. And if you have a veteran cemetery nearby or one that you want your loved one to be buried in, you have to get, if the one you want them to be buried in is actually further away than the closest one, you've got to transport them there, which is a whole different set of issues. But you choose right then and there, from a list of epitaphs. It's really not that personalized.
Okay.
There's only about 3 or 4 that you can choose from, and you can look that up ahead of time. That I would definitely recommend, because unfortunately I think we chose the wrong one for my dad.
Really?
Yeah, it was just like, it seemed good at the time, but now that I look back on it, I'm like, it's gonna.
Why did you like it? What does it say?
He was a wonderful man. He was a very kind-hearted man. He was a loving, he was actually my stepdad, but he's my dad. And he was extremely good father, husband. And we put finally at peace or something like that. And I was like, why did we do that? So, that's one of the things that happens when someone you really care about passes away, is your brain stops functioning rationally. And you think it's functioning rationally, but that's part of the grief process.
Yeah. And we know what you meant by it.
Yeah, exactly.
But if you didn't know him and
you're
walking
through the cemetery, you're like, holy moly, so, and there were a couple other choices as well.
Yeah.
So you can choose those ahead of time, but just remember that when you're dealing with veteran cemeteries and a veteran, that you will be making all those decisions at the last minute. And if you want to all be buried together, only the spouse of the veteran can be buried with them.
Okay.
So, and they do it the double burial.
Okay.
So when my mom passes away, if she wanted to be buried with my dad, then we would have to transport her back to Texas where he is, and she could be buried with him.
Oh, that's interesting.
But only the spouse can be buried with the veteran.
Okay.
But it's, it's a wonderful memorial, actually, service that they do, funeral service. You go out. The coffin is draped in the American flag, which you get to keep. And they have military there, and then they have the gun salute.
I love that.
And they have the
taps,
and they have the insignias from all the different branches of the military behind the coffin. And it really is a wonderful send-off, actually, for a veteran. So I would highly recommend it if you don't want to be buried all together. So, and that's a huge decision if as a family you all want to be in the same spot. They do have crypts as well. You don't have to be buried. They do have crypts. So if you're cremated, then there's slots.
Oh, that's so nice.
For your ashes and that type of thing. And again, you just have a choice of those 3 or 4. I can't remember if it was 3 or 4. I just remember going, oh. But and you can get them changed. I probably will get it changed.
Now that we've talked about it.
Now that we've talked about it, I'm like, I really do need to get that done. And that's another thing too, is that time goes by after someone passes away, and you might intend to do something. You might intend to, get the gravestone changed. You might intend to, take care of business, and time goes on and you don't. And that's, in general, veteran cemeteries are not, the time passes very quickly, and you really just need to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
You know, my husband's brother Michael, he was buried in a military cemetery. And I didn't participate in choosing his plot or any of that. His parents did that when he died. But
and that's the other thing, excuse me, you can't choose the plot.
Oh,
just
that's
tell
right.
you.
Yeah, you were just saying that they tell you where.
Yeah, they just tell you where you're going to be.
But we have gone to the cemetery to, you know, to visit him. Beautiful.
Oh, they're gorgeous.
Oh,
They're gorgeous.
my gosh. Perfect. Everything out there is perfect.
It's
all the time. Every
beautiful.
time we've gone.
Yes.
I don't know.
Yes.
So
yeah.
nice.
Where
Really
my dad
peaceful.
is buried is just outside of Dallas, and they have this beautiful lake
Oh,
that's nearby.
nice.
And you know, you say strange things, right? We were like,
Yeah.
oh, this is a wonderful burial spot for Dad because he can look at the lake and he loves water.
Yeah.
You know, it's like,
yeah.
but again, back to that place.
Yeah.
You know,
It's for you.
It's for you. It's
And your
for you.
family,
And
yeah.
you can go back there. You know they're going to be there, and you can just sit with
Yeah.
them.
Yeah.
You know, so,
So nice.
it is important to have that place.
Right.
So
Right. It is.
you know, and you can contact the Veterans Administration too to find out what you can do ahead of time, which, like I said, is not much.
Right. And sometimes it is hard to get through and talk with someone at some of those offices. If your loved one is on hospice, I know that is something that our social workers,
Yes.
fabulous social workers, and they help with all of that to help ease the stress on the family.
Exactly, and a good
So-
mortuary
and a
will do the
mortuary will do
same.
the same.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So you're not alone. No.
Yeah, there's resources, and you just have to reach out to them sometimes. So, anyway,
Well, that's awesome.
that's it for
Yeah.
this edition.
Yeah. Let's talk about what you put on your
Let's-
dad's.
Yeah, we'll discuss that in
Yeah.
future episodes of
Yeah.
Let's Talk About Death.
Yeah, we will. Thank you for watching.
Thank you. We'll see you again soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.